I am Sheriff Patrick Cahillane. I'm an immigrant from Ireland and have lived in Hampshire County since I was 10. I deeply care about this community. It welcomed me and my family and extended my roots. I'm a trained, educated, and certified criminal justice professional. I've worked my entire career in the service of the citizens of the Commonwealth, from my years in the Massachusetts Army National Guard up to and including the last 6 years as the Sheriff of Hampshire County. I've held positions in criminal justice, including an educator, an auditor, a compliance manager, and several positions managing staff within correctional facilities. Currently, I oversee the entire Hampshire County Sheriff's Department with its 7 divisions. In my current role, I am responsible for implementing legislative mandates and making sure that the 9 agencies that audit us fulfill our requirements. These audits are to ensure the safety of the community and the safety of the people in our care. I am the only candidate with this level of expertise. As the sheriff, I'm responsible for making tough calls that protect the lives and safety of all that come in contact with the Sheriff's Department. The job requires a multi-dimensional skill set, which I've developed in all of the years that I've worked for the department, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Not all of those days are great, but most of them are good, and I want to continue to do that. I want to continue to inspire good operational management of the department. And I look forward to the discussion. What I bring to the table is the years of management experience, and especially in the last 3 years during COVID, I have had to run an operation that was fully functioning when most of the rest of the communities were shut down. During that period of time, I also worked on a legislative commission for the health and safety of the LGBTQI community that is incarcerated in Massachusetts. And we ran a makeshift courtroom operation so that people could still be served with the justice process when the courts were shut down. I have done considerable work on the facility from when I began 6 years ago to now. We have fixed one half of the facility to make it a learning and living environment. More so than a jail cell operation. We have implemented a new air circulation system into the facility. We've established a medication-assisted treatment program, and we have become our own opioid treatment center, which is only the second in the state. So we have been doing a lot of good things, including during COVID, I also opened up a reentry center for parolees to keep the community safe and to keep those individuals who were paroled in a safe manner so that they could find housing and employment. So those are some of the pieces that I bring to the table, and obviously there's a lot more that we're working on. So. There are several other responsibilities that I have been doing even in my role before sheriff. As the special sheriff, I was in the role of running most of these operations. The Judicial Process Division, Civil Process, which has now become somewhat controversial from the standpoint of the eviction process that came into play, especially during COVID. And I don't want to blame COVID for everything that's happening, but it did drive it forward. But during COVID, my civil process department extended their work to mental health outreach, and we assign a mental health clinician to our eviction teams so that there's safe treatment of anyone, safe and humane treatment to any individual who is being evicted through the court process. The sheriff's office does not start the process, but by law it has to end the process through the evictions. So that's one piece that has changed drastically under my administration, because I felt it was the right thing to do. I will always look at things from what is the right thing to do for the citizens of the community. So the medication-assisted treatment program is another piece that comes into play. The operation of the facility is one piece, but when people go back to the community, they have to have wraparound services. And part of our philosophy through one of the other divisions, our reentry center, or we call it the Bridge to the Future, we do make sure that people have wraparound services in the community. We connect them with those services while they're still incarcerated, and we move them forward into the community. We find them employment. We try to find them permanent housing, and in those situations, we do much better with those individuals going forward. Those are two pieces. We also run a community justice center, and the community justice center works with probationers. Now, in our probation system in Massachusetts, we have to look at it from the standpoint that probationers are not incarcerated. Most of the cases that are dealing with the community justice center are people who have been in front of a judge, and a judge felt that sending them to this program may be beneficial to them not getting to a jail or house of correction. So our staff at that center, again, provides wraparound services, case management, treatment, substance abuse treatment, and educational opportunities, as well as drug testing is an active part of the program. Those are three. We have a triad program, and the triad program is a program that we run for seniors, and we've been doing the triad program for 30 years. And as a matter of fact, most of the communities in the county have involvement with Triad. And Triad is a program that we work with the local fire department, we work with the local police department, the district attorney's office, and the sheriff's office work together to continue to educate seniors on issues that are specific to the senior population. Scams that happen, especially grandparent scams and those types of things. We also provide them services through their senior centers, and it may be helping do cookouts or running some sort of a program that the senior center may be heavily involved with. We run a lockbox program so that the individuals who are interested in having a lockbox on their door, so that if there's a problem at the house, the fire or police department has the combination to the lockbox, and they don't have to break the door down to get into the house. They have the combination, and they can get in because there's a key access inside the lockbox. The lockbox program, our medical supplies, we distribute walkers, canes. Sometimes adjustable beds or chairs, depending, or shower chairs, depending on what we have for equipment. We share that with seniors who are in need, and we do that throughout the county as well. And also we run a program with collectively with the SALT councils in each community called Sand for Seniors, and that helps the seniors in the wintertime so that they can have a bucket of sand outside their door, so that they may have to sprinkle it on the stairs or steps so that they can get out of their house safely. Those are just some of the community pieces that we do through our triad. One of the biggest issues is the substance abuse problem that is not just a countywide issue, but a countrywide issue. And we are in a unique county situation in that we have Route 91 that travels right through the center of the county, and it becomes a traffic area for drug trafficking. One of the problems that we do see on the arrest end is, if I can go back to the previous question, I did not even discuss the Hampshire County Regional Police Lockup. And the Hampshire County Regional Police Lockup is a standalone operation that the Sheriff's Office took on back in 2021. I was one of the people who helped design that facility, and I was responsible for bringing it into operation. As a matter of fact, I wrote a grant so that it was specific to opening up the regional police lockup. And we looked at the regional police lockup as a common sense approach to, especially in the smaller communities where they could not afford to have their own lockups, to take those individuals and they drop them at the regional lockup, and then we deliver them to the courts that they need to go to in the morning. And so along that same lines, we see a lot of arrests for substance-related crimes that are dropped off at the regional lockup. And the other big issue that is facing this county is domestic abuse. And I dare to say that COVID didn't help that any, where people were locked away together in situations that they could not really avoid some of the problems. But we have seen an uptick in domestic abuse, and we've seen an uptick in domestic violence. Probably, and I've spoke about this at many discussions where legislators have been in the group, is that there's a misnomer about Hampshire County that we're all doing really well out here. So there's a level of being kind of dismissed in Boston when they're looking at things. I think part of that is because we're in a 5-college community, and it's a smaller community, and we have the flagship University of Mass in that community. So I think that people outside of Hampshire County get a sense that everything is great in Hampshire County, and so therefore they don't always view it as we have any needs. where we all know that we have needs, and we need money for infrastructure projects. We need money for early childhood education, and if there was a way to get more money for those projects, especially in Hampshire County, I think it would benefit the overall population. Well, the two that spark my interest the most, I shouldn't even use the word interest, that sparks the most problematic, I guess probably would be the right word. Roe versus Wade really bothered me because in 2016, I had a friend who said to me, "It is awful what happened tonight," and that was when Hillary Clinton lost. And she said, "This is not going to be good for Roe versus Wade." And I said, "Well, give me a little bit more feedback on that." And she said, "This is going to take a step backwards. We are going to lose ground, and it's going to affect anybody who is a woman." And I'm shocked that we have come to that point as to what happened with the overturning of Roe versus Wade, and it offends me in many ways because I'm a Catholic, and for a group of Catholics to view people as second-rate citizens, which is in many ways what happened in that set of circumstances, bothered me. And it also affects me from the standpoint that I come from a family that have many strong women in it. And I married a very strong woman, and she has 3 strong sisters, and I have 3 daughters that are very strong individuals. And so I have 2 granddaughters who are going to have to live with all of the consequences of Roe v. Wade and it being overturned. And I think we need to take action to resolve that. And I think the Congress needs to do that. And I am thankful that we're in a state where we have protections as it is. And hopefully we can keep a wall up so that we can stay safe from the standpoint of women's rights. I as a man, or you as a man, should not have any right to say what a woman does with her body. That's just the reality. What gives us that right? I don't think anybody on this earth gives us that right. On the gun control issue, I was in the National Guard. As a matter of fact, for 2 years I served as a machine gunner. I've seen what a powerful weapon can do, and I don't see that we necessarily need powerful weapons in the hands of the average citizen, and especially in situations where we are seeing such an increase in mental health in the community. And when you look at the cases that have happened where there have been mass shootings, there have been horrific histories with those individuals who were the mass shooters. And so I think we have to take some very, very serious looks at both of those issues, not from a county standpoint, but I think from a state standpoint. And I think we need to push Congress to do something to correct those steps that were taken. Well, the legislature passed a bill in Massachusetts in 2018, and it gave clear direction to how the criminal justice system should function, or at least I believe it gave clear direction. And with that came a lot more mandates for training, a lot more mandates for educational process for correctional officers. We were already doing that. I send my correctional officers to, as many as we can at a time, to critical incident response training, which is realistic. It's not 100% corrections based, but it gets the officers an understanding of how police interact with people on the street. It gets them to understand what some of the pieces of mental illness are that moves people forward in the criminal justice system. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that the sheriff has no choice in who they take in as people into their facility. That's all decided by a judge in the court system. And so the people that come through our doors have so many different issues that we have to train staff differently than you would train just an officer. So we have to train them to understand mental health. We have to train them to understand education levels. We have to train them to understand heritage. And so all of those pieces are working, we're working on it already. As a matter of fact, hopefully this fall, we will have a training curriculum or an educational curriculum with Trans Health Northampton, which is one of the only, I may even be the only trans health organization in the Commonwealth that just specifically deals with trans health. But I felt it was important that our educational director make that connection so that we could set up a curriculum, because more and more people with very different backgrounds than white males are coming through the system, and they have different needs, and they have different ideas that we need to make sure that we don't set them aside because we don't agree with what their background is or their religion is. So a lot of the training that is starting to happen, and part of it comes out of the legislative commission that I serve on, the LGBTQI Health and Safety Commission. We traveled across the Commonwealth, and we've gone into many of the different facilities, and we've looked at what their process is in addressing LGBTQI issues for health and safety. And we've done surveys and collected the surveys and utilized that information to help them understand to help staff understand what they need to address and when they need to address it. And how do you make somebody feel comfortable who is already scared and just coming into a system that they may not know anything about? So that's the evolution of education for correctional officers. It becomes more social work based than criminal justice based. Well, we already do that, but we do it in I guess probably a quiet manner. We don't advertise it. We don't wave the flags in front of the facility, or we don't publicize it in the newspaper type of thing. But there's a lot of things that we do. we have staff that are assigned to different task forces within the community, whether it be something to do with mental health, substance abuse, or domestic violence. The drug court, we have a clinician that's assigned to the drug court to help work the process for those individuals who come in contact with the drug court. As an example, I was at a graduation for the drug court about 2 months ago. Oh, no, it was a month ago. And the individual was somebody who I have known over the years. And I was proud to stand there and congratulate him on successfully completing the program. But I was as proud of the staff of the drug court and my clinician who had some input into helping that person get back on track, get into treatment, and eliminate the drug program. So those are some of the things we do in the background. Some of the other things that we do when cities and towns reach out to us for something specific. Whether it's helping with collecting backpacks for kids going back to school, which is something that was just reached out to us in this last week, to helping maybe paint a town hall inside, or if there's when some of the schools had built new schools, they needed help moving books and those types of things. And if we have the availability of manpower, and individuals wanted to volunteer to do that, we would bring them and have them do it as a community service. But we also are educating people into being part of being a good citizen, and that's part of that. The county is on the right track. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we have been working on for the last close to 5 months is a grant. It's a SAMHSA grant, and it's a substance abuse and mental health grant. And we're in the running right now for getting that grant. And it's a $750,000 grant that would give us more staffing to initiate more wraparound services and follow up in the community after individuals leave. So that's in process at the present time, and we've set a blueprint in place as to how that grant would work, and time schedules on how many people it would serve and how many functions would have to happen to get a person to the right spot from a mental health standpoint. So that grant, we're hoping to hear within the next couple of months that we got it. Everything right now tells us that we're in good shape. We're getting it. But even if we don't get that grant, we would utilize the blueprint that we put together over this 5 months to put together some of our own processes so we could work on the mental health pieces and the substance abuse pieces, because they do go hand in hand. And so those pieces we will continue to work on. As the other piece that we do, we have sent several correctional officers to specialized training regarding becoming a mentor and a guide for fellow staff to help them through some of the crises in their life, and they become the reach out person. And there's a specialized team, albeit a very bigger agency, the Department of Corrections, which are one phone call away, and I have not unfettered access, but I have access to those people with one phone call to the Commissioner of Corrections. And those people will come out, they will spend quality time with those individuals. This is regarding staff, especially in staff crisis situations. This is a highly stressful job, and not everybody can do this job. So there are pieces that we have in place already, and we can work to continue to expand it, and through the Massachusetts Sheriff's Association, the sheriffs collectively are talking about those types of programs, and having it so that some of my staff members who've been trained would go to another facility and work with their staff, and then in return their staff would come and work with some of my staff who might need services, so that there's a give and take, but it's not somebody that you're working side by side with every day. So those pieces are being put in place as we speak. The inmates in custody have a process where they can write to me, and they do from time to time. That's one option, and usually I will get their request slip, and it may be for consideration for some piece through walking and talking. Obviously, during COVID, we restricted a lot of the walking and talking, but as I talk to individual inmates, I listen to what they have to say, and then I follow up with staff to make sure that I can validate what they're saying, and other staff will give me feedback on that, and then I get letters written to me from time to time from the outside, and they will tell me how I'm doing. Which is kind of an interesting concept. Sometimes it's not good, sometimes it is good. It's as a matter of fact, in the midst of COVID, I had made a statement to the local newspaper that this was an unsafe time to be releasing the inmate population as people were demanding, because there were no services out in the community for them to access, and so you would be throwing them out with no life preserver, which I thought was totally irresponsible. And one of the things that happened was I got a letter from an inmate who had, when they finished their sentence, COVID was starting to slow, and he wrote this letter when he got home, and in the letter he said, "I think you were right, because had you let me go earlier, I may not have made it." That's validation of thinking right and doing the right thing. The key in most processes is utilizing common sense where common sense has to prevail. I will tell you, I believe I have developed a very positive relationship with our entire legislative delegation. And you have to understand that in Hampshire County, the county is split up in so many different ways that you have many different state representatives representing part of the county, and you have different state senators representing different parts of the county. So you have to keep an open communication with all of those people. And one of the things that I did in March, at the beginning of March in 2020, was I started communicating with them in writing, because they were all isolated as well. Even though they were still doing work for the legislature, they were kind of isolated, but I wanted to make sure that they knew what we were doing and let them know that the communication lines were open. And I actually had several of the state representatives did come up and visit with me during the heaviest portion of COVID, and it was to check on both to ask about the facility, how we were doing, and it was also to ask about the staff and how the staff were doing. And the staff were phenomenal during COVID. They were put in a position where they had to come to work no matter what, because people's lives depended on them coming to work. And so the state reps wanted to check, and I told them that. So I already have that open communication with the state reps and the state senators, and we'll continue to communicate with them. I communicated with them to let them know where I was with the status of this grant for substance abuse and mental health, so that they understood that I was trying to find other resources to help with making things better in Hampshire County. And I believe they also understand that we do have a perception problem in Boston, that everything is okay in Hampshire County because it seems okay and it looks okay from the outside, But there are pockets of poverty in Hampshire County. There are pockets of people really struggling to get by, and those people do need help and they need services, And they're not. Most of them are not incarcerated either. So it's that open communication that I already have, and I think I've already developed that with the legislative delegation. I would continue to do that. The one thing about me as a public official and any public official is our record is our record. It's out there. Anybody wants to go onto the state website and look at anything that we've done or what we've done, how we've spent our budgets. That's all out there in the public sphere, because everything we do is accountable to the legislature, the administration, and to the public. So it's all out there. So I've got a 6-year record of what we've done, and nothing is hidden. Corrections is a tough business, and anyone who tells you anything different, that these are great places to work. The environment is a tough environment. It is changing, and part of the change is that what you have now is decreased populations inside correctional facilities, and because they're decreased, you have a more intense population, and you have more of a population that has serious mental health and substance abuse, and so they don't always react normally that you and I would sense as a normal reaction to something. So that group of people we're trying to work with. One of the things that I did several months ago was I hired a psychologist who has a long history of working with people in correctional facilities, and I've hired him to work with the staff to educate the staff on how best to manage that individual. And so that's one piece. And so the first group of people he's working with are case managers and treatment staff and nursing staff. And then he's going to move on from there to working with the correctional officers and the supervisors, so that they have a better, solid understanding. And it's coming from somebody with 35 years of experience that has solid medical credentials, that they can say, okay, this person does know exactly what mental health treatment is and how we should deal with this. Because dealing with mental ill individuals is very different than dealing with somebody that we would sense as a normal situation. So that's a piece that we're already working on, because I felt it was important as we saw that the population was decreasing, but the anxiety level, let's face it, the anxiety level in the general population across the Commonwealth has gone way out of whack from where it was before COVID started, and I don't see it coming down anytime real soon until we get some basis of a normalcy. Well, I haven't given that any thought. You know what? I have a great extended family, and I have developed a lot of good, solid friendships within the community over the years, and I would probably continue to look at local objectives and see how I can fit in to help. I can see myself working with the LGBTQ community as they move forward. One of the things that's happening in the next couple of months is the LGBTQ Massachusetts Chamber of Commerce is going to be opening an office in East Hampton, Mass. for LGBTQ businesses. And one of the things, and I volunteered to be part of their process early on. They're working with the Black and Latino business community. They're working with the mayor's office in East Hampton. They're working with some other community-based programming, but Black and Pink out of Boston is also involved. And it's about moving people from the part of it is the part I'm involved with is moving individuals from the jail and prison setting into a community and getting them wraparound services where they can work within an LGBTQ philosophy and maybe even an entrepreneurship. So I've volunteered from the Hampshire Sheriff's Office to be part of that process, so I could see myself working with them to build that out, because I think there's a need for it, and it is a solid program. And the LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce has really taken off, and they are doing a lot of entrepreneurial programming and education and legal expertise for those communities. Yeah, I guess a couple of pieces is we have vocational education programs that we've developed over the years, and they were stalled during COVID, and now we're starting to build them back up, and we're working with the community colleges As a matter of fact, one of our instructors is also an instructor or an adjunct faculty member at STCC who is doing a landscape architecture program. And so people will get a certificate when they leave. And that may get them a better foot in the door. And landscaping, you don't need a background check or a board of probation check to get a landscaping position. So it's trying to ease those transitions. One of the other things that is happening at the present time is the Northampton Recovery Center is working in Ware with the Ware Recovery Center. And the Ware Recovery Center is going to have programming for people in recovery and people who are still dealing with substance abuse problems. And we have become part of that working group to help them because we have two programs. We have a Nurturing Fathers program that we run at the Recovery Center in Northampton, and the Recovery Center in Ware we're hoping to build a similar program out there, because if we can educate fathers to be good fathers, even if it's in the community and not so much people who are incarcerated, we can take those individuals and help them move things along so that their children grow up in a better environment. And so we're working on some of those pieces with the Ware Recovery Center, and we're giving them help along the way. We're going to continue to build out a therapeutic model of corrections, because that's the direction that corrections is going in. I had said 6 years ago that I can envision 1/3 of our total population being community-based correction activities, whether it's somebody on an electronic monitor living at home, or an electronic monitor living in some sort of a workspace or a treatment facility, and or living at our Bridge to the Future house. So I think that's where the population is moving, because all the reading that I've done, and I probably do way more reading about corrections than most people, but the reality is that's the direction of travel of where corrections is going to go in Massachusetts in the near future. A lot of it is already starting to be there. I am Patrick Cahillane, the Sheriff of Hampshire County. I have education, training, and certifications to run the Hampshire Sheriff's Office. I'm the only person in this race who has run an agency and managed a budget with over 150 employees that conform to the rules and regulations of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I know how to manage a multifaceted agency. I'm hoping that the citizens recognize the hard work that I have done over the past 6 years, and I'm asking for their vote on September 6th to continue the progressive work that we have already started for all of the citizens of Hampshire County.